April 7th, 2022. On this night, the hockey world tuned in to watch a cross-conference clash between the Nashville Predators and the Ottawa Senators, hoping to catch a glimpse of history in the making. Predators captain Roman Josi, in the midst of a career year offensively, heads into this game with 84 points on the season, just 2 points shy of breaking Paul Kariya's franchise record for points in a season. To state the obvious, defensemen don't usually break scoring records, let alone ones held by Hall of Fame forwards, but then again, not every defenseman is the talented and magnificent Roman Josi. A first period goal would give Josi an assist that pulled him into a tie with Kariya, and then, with just 12 minutes left in the third period, Josi would collect the record-breaking point, number 86 on the year. Roman Josi now stood alone. He had scored more points in a single season than any other player who had ever donned the jersey of the Nashville Predators, a record he added to and still holds to this day. What Roman Josi was able to accomplish in the 2021-22 NHL season was nothing short of spectacular, but it shouldn't be surprising. To put it simply, Roman Josi is, and has always been, a master of his craft. One of the hallmark offensive defensemen of his era, both in terms of basic numbers and counting stats, but also in the realm of more advanced statistics. A player whose career should be appreciated to the fullest, especially while he is still in the league and at the top of his game. Since first making his arrival on the NHL stage in the 2011-12 season, Josi has racked up his goal and assist tallies in ways few other defensemen have been able to match. So far in his career, Josi has put up 181 goals and 505 assists for 686 points through 909 career NHL games. Here's how those scoring metrics rank compared to all other defensemen since 2011. In each instance, he's at least top 3. He's also one of only 3 NHL defensemen to have 500 plus assists in that same time span. The other two? Victor Hedman and Erik Karlsson. That's some pretty good company to be in if you're being compared to those guys. If we look at his 5-on-5 numbers, Josi has the 4th most goals, the 2nd most assists, and the 3rd most points among defensemen. See, Roman Josi is not the kind of defenseman who falters as soon as they have to play at 5-on-5 and their offensive output goes extinct. Quite the opposite, really. He has thrived at 5-on-5 throughout his career, even when the ice is crowded and both teams are at full strength. For now, I want to put additional focus on Josi's 5-on-5 assists. While he finishes just behind Erik Karlsson in terms of total assists, if we look at strictly primary assists, Roman Josi has actually led the league in primary assists since 2011, barely beating out Karlsson for the top spot. I place this emphasis for 2 main reasons. The first is to directly recognize and reward players whose impact on the ice directly led to a goal, which is represented by primary assists. The second is to try and filter out secondary assists, which can be fluky and unsustainable on a year-to-year basis, making them less valuable than their primary assist counterparts. What primary assists and the fact that Josi leads this category can tell us is that Roman Josi is one of, if not the best 5-on-5 playmaking defenseman of his time period. He's so good at finding the open man on the ice and then setting them up to score. Even if it doesn't look like there's a play to be had, Josi's just going to make something out of nothing, because that's how talented he is. It truly is a case of pick your poison. It'd be one thing if Josi was just a passer, but no, he's also a goal scorer. Try to take away his playmaking and he'll just put the puck in the back of your net. But if you do the opposite and try to take away his goal scoring, he'll beat you with his playmaking. Josi is legitimately part of that rare echelon of players where every time they are on the ice and have the puck, they are dangerous, and stopping them is a lot easier said than done. It's already hard enough to try and stop him with 5 players on the ice, but the last thing teams want to do is take a penalty and try to defend Josi and the Predators with just 4 players on the ice. Since 2011, only Shea Weber has scored more power play goals than Roman Josi, as Josi's 63 power play goals is tied with Drew Doughty for 2nd place among defensemen. In regards to assists, he's tied for 7th most with Chris Letang. Overall, those figures account for 244 power play points, tied with John Carlson for the 4th most among defensemen. Frankly, one of the biggest mistakes teams can make is putting Roman Josi on the power play. All going on the penalty kill does is give him more space on the ice to practice his craft. It should then come as no surprise that Josi has indeed consistently made opposing teams pay for putting the Predators on the man advantage. However, this examination of goals, assists, and points only scratches the surface of Roman Josi's brilliance. To go further, we need to delve into more advanced metrics. Expected goals for percentage is a stat that uses expected goals models and shot quality to measure how often the team can expect to outscore their opponent when a specific player is on the ice. Here, 50% is considered average and a higher number is better. When we look at the course of Roman Josi's career so far, starting with his strictly 5-on-5 numbers, you can see that he has been a net positive player by expected goals for percentage in 11 of 13 seasons. That is outstanding consistency. Outside of 2 down years, when Josi has stepped onto the ice at 5-on-5, it has been the Predators who have been expected to outscore their opponents, and not the other way around. But if we look beyond 5-on-5 and adjust for all situations, we can also see that Josi has been a net positive player by expected goals for percentage in all 13 seasons he's played in the NHL. So even in the years where his 5-on-5 play wasn't at his best, when we account for his impact on the power play and other non-5-on-5 situations, the Predators have still been the better team more often than not when Josi has been on the ice. Truthfully, expected goals for percentage says a lot about how dangerous a player Roman Josi is, not only as a 5-on-5 player but as an all situations player. Rarely does he have years that could be considered down years, but even when he does, the other facets of his game are still present, make up for it, and need to be accounted for. For opposing NHL teams, there really is no such thing as an easy year against Roman Josi. We can take things a step further by using individual expected goals, as this stat allows us to isolate how many goals an individual player can be expected to score based solely on the shots that they and they alone have taken. In the case of Roman Josi, he is the only defenseman to have at least 5 or more individual expected goals at 5-on-5 in each of the last 11 seasons. In that same time span, no other active defenseman even has 10 such seasons, with the next closest defenseman being Victor Hedman. But even then, he didn't do it consecutively like Josi did. In this instance, 5 individual expected goals is the benchmark set because in a regular 82-game season, only around 30 to 50 of the league's defensemen actually hit that mark. And even during the shortened seasons of a few years ago, some defensemen, like Josi, were still able to hit that benchmark. Not only that, if we look back from the beginning of this streak until we reach the present day and look at where Josi's individual expected goals total ranked in comparison to other defensemen each year, you'll see numbers that are almost incomprehensible. In this 11-year stretch he's been on, the worst he's finished a season by 5-on-5 individual expected goals is 21st. Mind you, his worst campaign by individual expected goals was still almost a top 20 season. Other defensemen would kill for a season like that. If we expand the floor to include his individual expected goals total at all situations, it just gets better. Consistent top 10 finishes in all but 2 seasons, the first 2 seasons of the streak. The last 6 seasons in particular have been nothing short of a masterpiece from Roman Josi. Top 10 in both 5-on-5 and all situations individual expected goals every single year, led the league in 5-on-5 individual expected goals this past season, and led the league in all situations individual expected goals 5 times. What we can learn from individual expected goals is that Josi's individual impact on the ice is not a fluke. He's not a defenseman playing a massively unsustainable game and just getting lucky with his bounces. He should be scoring all of the goals he does on a year-by-year basis, because even mathematics agrees that he's otherworldly good. But individual expected goals are just one piece of the puzzle, as players still have to finish on their chances. Fortunately, one of Josi's biggest tools that we can observe with both the eye test and stats from NHL Edge is how lethal and accurate his shot is. Starting with velocity, very few NHLers throw more 90+ miles per hour pucks on net than Roman Josi. As in the past 3 seasons NHL Edge has data for, he has finished in the 99th percentile, the 99th percentile, and you'll never believe it, the 99th percentile. If we look at shots 80 to 90 miles per hour, he hasn't finished a season lower than the 97th percentile. Suffice to say, it's a decently hard shot that Josi loves to unleash over and over again. And if you're the poor soul who finds themselves in front of one of Josi's blasts, good luck. Yet, blocking the puck is still probably the best option. NHL Edge tracks a player's shooting percentage based on shot location dating back to the 2021-22 season, and also tracks the positional average shooting percentage in that same generalized location. This is a graph comparing the shooting percentage of the league average defenseman relative to Roman Josi when looking at just long-range shots. For the past 3 seasons, the average defenseman only scores from long range about 2.6% of the time, which tracks with conventional hockey theory. Long-range shots are typically low-quality shots. You might score on them once in a blue moon. Having said that, here's Roman Josi. No, your eyes do not deceive you. In the NHL Edge era, Roman Josi has had a shooting percentage from long range at least double that of the positional average. average. Just this past year, his shooting percentage was triple that of the positional average. He doesn't miss. Even on his long-range one-timers and slap shots, where it's completely reasonable to expect those shots to go just about anywhere and everywhere, the puck, year over year, continues to find its way to the net with regularity. In fact, Roman Josi not only has the most slap shot goals by a defenseman since the 2021-22 season, the first year NHL Edge data became available, but he is also tied for the second most slap shot goals among defensemen since he entered the league, only behind Shea Weber once again. For NHL teams, the second they see Josi wind up that shot, they know what's coming. And the beauty of it all is that even after all these years, you still can't stop it. Who knows if we will ever see another player like Roman Josi ever again. So enjoy it while he's here. He'll be 34 years young by the opening of the 2024-25 NHL season, and we cannot know for certain how many more years he has left in the tank, especially at his current level. If nothing else, appreciate the long and fruitful career of a dominant offensive force whose impact on the ice has allowed him to finish top 10 in Norris Trophy voting 7 times, be a finalist thrice, and win the award during the 2019-20 NHL season. Because one day, the NHL will open its regular season, and Roman Josi will not be there, wearing the jersey of the Nashville Predators as he always does.